Welcome to the August 2025 edition of Upfront and Real, a podcast brought to you by Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine and Ohio's Electric Cooperatives. I'm Karen Whitney, Director of Communications for OEC, and with me, our President and CEO, Craig Grooms. He's here to talk about what you mentioned in your column in the August issue of Ohio Cooperative Living. You called the American electric grid an engineering marvel. Why do you give it such a high compliment?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Most people are completely unaware of what the power grid is, right? But we think of it in terms of the 10,000 power plants, the 500,000 miles of transmission lines, millions of miles of distribution lines, and the fact that it works so cohesively to balance the supply of electricity on demand nearly all the time, achieving close to 100% availability. It is really amazing, and people have described it as the most amazing machine ever invented. And we just appreciate the fact, as American citizens, that whenever you flip a light switch, it's there. It's all around us. For most people outside the industry, it's just always there. It's always around us, always available. And we can appreciate the amount of work and investment that goes into making sure electricity is available. It's invisible. Just the expectation is that it's always available, and we recognize that making sure it is, there's a lot of work involved in it.
It's kind of something you take for granted because it's invisible.
Exactly.
Most of all of us in our lifetime, it's been there, and it's just something that you expect to be there and not be there. And you also made a statement in that article about how important grid resiliency and the reliability, the stability of it is, so that I guess we can take it for granted. Talk about why is that so important, and what role do we as co-ops in Ohio have in making sure that it is stable?
Yeah, so if you just start with the electric utility, its contribution to the overall U.S. economy. And so I've heard people say it's 2 or 3% of the total U.S. economy, but it really is the first 2 or 3%, because the other 97 or 98% really doesn't work without the electric utility industry operating at a high level. That's important, but the contributions to national security also comes into play. It's not just the powering of the systems, it's maintaining social order. And we've seen videos of other countries where lack of electricity can lead to serious disruption, unrest. And so it makes a significant contribution just in making sure that we're a well-oiled society, our economy works. And part of that includes stability, it includes resiliency, ensuring that there's enough supply to meet demand during hot days like we're experiencing now, cold days during the winter time. That stability and resiliency, the ability to ride through disruptions, especially when it's really hot or really cold, it makes for a very important sector. It makes for an important contribution to maintaining overall social order and high performance of our economy.
And that's one you don't hear a lot about is the national security piece, like how it underpins that, the economy we hear about a lot, with jobs and being able to, power your life. Talk about the national security piece just a bit. Is that definitely a concern that people think about with grid stability?
Not as much, but I think we recognize, a lot of our elected officials appreciate the importance of having a reliable electric grid and its contribution to national security. I think of electricity, the power grid, it's underappreciated. When you think of military operations, logistics, supply chain, all incredibly important. They take a back seat to very impressive weapon systems and actual action on the battlefield, but without supply chain, without logistics, you don't have the end product. And it's the same thing with electricity and the power grid. Without a high-performing grid, you can't have a well-functioning economy. All of the national defense systems that rely on electricity, also, that's important. That's a direct input to those systems, but it's also maintaining a strong economy, social order. All of that factors into overall the national security consideration for the electric utility industry and the power grid overall.
And bringing that, responsibility for having this resilient, stable grid, how can we bring that home to that single member, that family that's on co-op, distribution lines? What can we do to do our part to make sure we keep that engineering marvel stable?
Yeah, it's really our business model. It's what we talk about every day. It's what we do every day. It's, ensuring that we have sufficient generation resources to meet the demands of our members. It's investing in those resources, making sure or trying to make sure that they're available on the hottest days and the coldest days. It's trying to minimize use of electricity during peak usage hours. That's a way to save money. It helps lower rates, makes power more affordable. It contributes to the reliability of the grid, right? There's less stress on it. And we advocate for minimizing the use of electricity on the hottest days, the coldest days, if it can be done safely. We don't want people to take chances or do things that might put themselves in jeopardy. But it is a way to save on cost and contribute to the reliability of the power grid. And so we're very open with our members. We communicate these aspects to what they can do directly. We serve over 1 million residents in Ohio, and so if you add that up, it makes for a significant contribution.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a lot of folks that participate
Yeah.
in the peak alerts and all that,
Yeah.
so we appreciate that. And always appreciate you coming here and educating us a little bit
Yeah,
more
happy
about
to. Yeah, it's always
electricity
nice.
and how we can help keep this an engineering marvel, that
Yeah.
electric grid out there. Thank you, Craig. And
Thank
thank
you.
you all for watching. We'll see you back here in September.